look, what makes it tragic, what makes it laughable, is that, these people are reaching out for something meaningful. They want something profoundly meaningful written on their skin to be with them, to carry with them on their skin until the day they die. I understand the desire, the yearning in their hearts for something profound and philosophical when they walk into the tattoo shop. And what do they get? These people are putting a lot of money on the table, and they're not even getting the Chinese equivalent of a quotation from Shakespeare. They are getting complete nonsense, and they become walking billboards for an old saying from Socrates: the unexamined life is not worth living. We all make bad decisions in life. That's your hand. That is your hand. Are you going to wear a glove for the rest of your life in public? Ariana Grande. The story is not about cultural appropriation. I have just made a quick survey of news websites, and they all seem to want to make this story about cultural appropriation, and it's not. If someone in Japan wanted to get a tattoo with a quotation from Hamlet in English. Hamlet, if you haven't heard of it, hit play by this young kid, William Shakespeare. He's going places, trust me. Hamlet itself, in case you didn't know, it's not really English culture. Hamlet, Prince of Denmark. Hashtag cultural appropriation, okay? This bunch of English people, English and Scottish people were ripping off Danish culture when Shakespeare wrote Hamlet, okay? It's fine. If someone in Japan went and wanted to get a quotation from Shakespeare tattooed on their hand, Westerners, native English speakers would sympathize. But if they came back and that tattoo was so horribly misspelled, if there were just grammar errors and spelling errors in every word, and sometimes you're looking at what is that word supposed to be? Think of how badly you would feel for them. And you'd ask, let's say you're looking at it, sometimes you on a letter by letter basis, is that supposed to be the letter E? And you realize, so the tattoo artist did not have basic literacy in English, did not have basic competence to do this. That today in 2019 is what we see again and again and again with both Chinese and Japanese tattoos that white Western people pay for. And guys, the main victims are the rich. That's the strangest irony of all. So Ariana Grande, your body is on the line. Your reputation is on the line. You are a no-talent bum who makes your living showing off the skin of your body. And you are writing this on your body in ink forever. There is no eraser for that. There's no takey-backies, right? You could afford to fly to Japan and get an actual Japanese person to do this tattoo. No questions. You could fly to Taiwan and have it done by someone who's a native speaker of Chinese, who's probably very good at Chinese calligraphy, whether you want Chinese or Japanese. And by the way, in Hong Kong especially, there's a lot of both Chinese and Japanese tattoo artists for interesting political reasons. A lot of the Japanese gangsters, criminal element, get their tattoos done in Hong Kong rather than in Japan. So it's actually quite a booming little industry there, okay? Ariana Grande, you have options. You have many different choices you can make, and you disastrously made the wrong one. Now, the particular text of this tattoo, when you really break it down, is actually much worse than what anyone has said in the press. I obviously haven't read every single newspaper article, but you know what it is? Most of the white Western English-speaking press is derivative. People aren't really doing original research or original thinking. The key word here that everyone is translating as ring does not really mean ring. So again, these are really Chinese characters. They're Chinese words, and then they have particular usage within Japanese. The written languages are linked. They overlap. They're two separate spoken languages, but they really overlap in writing, and this is written in Chinese. There's not a single Japanese character here, right? Not a single distinctively Japanese character here. The word here, lun, Lunze de Lun. Lun, it's an incredibly broad, vague word for to go around. So you really, looking at this straight up with no foreknowledge of what it's supposed to say, it looks like a really bad sex joke. It looks like some kind of sexual innuendo, because it's like 7 fingers go around, and then the heart, like 7 fingers take your turn. Like, it seems like it's trying to hint at something like that as some kind of like dirty double entendre. And again, the heart doesn't help, right? You're reading it that way, top to bottom. Now, it's true, you can kind of sort of force yourself, like if you know what it's supposed to be in Japanese, to look at it that way in Japanese. You can take this and put it into Google Translate and come up with some hilarious results. People are saying, oh, it still means like 7-finger barbecue grill and stuff like this.
Now her hand reads Japanese barbecue finger.
You know, the simplest truth is that it really means nothing at all. But yeah, 7 fingers go around, 7 fingers take your turn. It is an absolute disaster. Who are you going to blame? Who are you going to blame? This is now a mass phenomenon. I'm moving on to my second example here, which is vegan leader James Aspey. But I've had contact with this phenomenon for decades and decades of my life. I used to be a scholar of Buddhism. And a lot of people would get Buddhist tattoos. And what a lot of you guys don't realize is that Buddhism involves internal cultural appropriation the same way Shakespeare does. Some of Shakespeare's plays are set in Venice. Some of them are set in Scotland. Some are set in Denmark. There are elements of the exotic within Shakespeare. Well, guess what? You know, people in Thailand want to get tattoos in Pali, which is an ancient language from India, written in medieval Cambodian, right? Or Renaissance Cambodian, however you want to describe that period of time. So there are levels of illiteracy there where the customer doesn't really read or understand what they're getting. And the tattoo artist probably, and one of the most common things to see was the actual name of the Buddha, the word Buddha misspelled in Buddhist tattoos. Thailand, Laos, Cambodia. It was all around you. You'd see this stuff and it's like, that's written on your body forever. And sure, a lot of the time also just complete nonsense being written on tattoos. And because of celebrity Angelina Jolie got a series of Cambodian Pali tattoos. So that's the ancient Buddhist tradition that comes from India via Sri Lanka to Cambodia onto Angelina Jolie's ass. All these white people were paying for vacations, mostly in Thailand, and then we're trying to get medieval Cambodian style tattoos, occasionally Laotian or Isan style. And I was seeing this go on. So look, again, the fundamental problem here is not cultural appropriation. The fundamental problem is stupidity. And maybe we find that harder to deal with. So look, James Aspey, I have one female friend who is highly educated and has a PhD and reads philosophy. And whenever I showed her this, I was like, can you believe these tattoos on James Aspey? She'd just write back saying, oh, I'm looking at these pictures. It doesn't have that kind of effect on me. She's like, oh, I'm getting turned on. Look at these pictures of James Aspey's chest. I'm like, you're an intelligent, educated woman. How can you find him attractive? Just given what the nature of the conversation we're having here. I honestly, I cannot find Ariana Grande attractive. I'm constitutionally incapable of being attracted to Ariana Grande, and you know, the illiterate garbage written on her hand doesn't help. Okay, this is James Aspey. This guy, you know, he's like the male vegan equivalent to Ariana Grande, except he only has one song, and at every single one of his concerts he sings it again and again and again. His song is, he used to be a drug addict, he used to have no direction and no meaning in his life, and then he discovered veganism, and now he's basically like a spiritual preacher for veganism. So look, guys, what's mind-blowing to me about this tattoo is both when you take all the words together, it is completely meaningless. And when I showed native speakers of Chinese this, the vast majority of them were not willing to even say anything more. They found it so mind-boggling. Like, it was just such complete gobbledygook. They just say, no, I have no idea what it's trying to, like, don't even ask me. I don't even want to look at it. This is just garbage. Like, this is just completely incoherent nonsense. Like, it had this effect on them where they found it kind of shocking. That tells you something about the way Chinese works. Like, if it's a little bit wrong, it's totally incomprehensible. But if you even just stop and look at it character by character, this was a lot of work for me to figure out the penultimate character here. Just take a moment to look at that. I've got it here circled for you in blue. Brushstroke by brushstroke, it seems like the tattoo artist just didn't have the attention span. Like, yeah, this kind of sort of resembles the character, but not really. No, like it's just wrong. Like, it's just not correct. And again, most native Chinese speakers, when I showed them that in isolation, they couldn't even guess. They were just like, dude, I have no idea what that's supposed to be. So if it's a little bit wrong, it is all the way wrong. Xinzhen he. Okay, he is the most common word in the Chinese language, and it's also one of the simplest and easiest to write. It is the word meaning and. This and that. The equivalent of and in English. So if you've been studying Chinese for just 1 week, you've learned this word, and you've seen this word a lot. It is among the most common characters. And even this, if you just take a moment to look at it, brushstroke by brushstroke, it's like the tattoo artist just kind of wasn't paying attention and ran out of time. How did you screw this up? How did you get the word and wrong in the middle of this dude's chest? And he's like he is like Angelina Jolie. He's like Angelina Jolie. He's like Ariana Grande. He makes his living going around topless, showing off his skin. It's hard to say who is this more true of. Angelina Jolie, Ariana Grande, they all are no-talent bums who show off their bodies for their living. And you're managing to screw this up. You're managing to ruin the only asset you've got going for you. Sorry, this guy does not get by on having a great voice or dancing skills. Shout out to James Aspey, but nobody's showing up to hear you speak for that, okay? He is scraping by on his looks, and a lot of it is him finding any excuse to take off his shirt and show off his chest and do chin-ups. Yeah, this guy is basically a softcore porn Instagram and whatever. Hey, look, I get fan mail. Some women find this YouTube channel erotic, okay? I mean, that's, we can do some psychological examination of I think they're interesting people. I'd like to think it's a higher quality of person who masturbates watching à-bas-le-ciel than James. I'd like to think that, but maybe they're the most depraved individuals of all. Okay, so look, character by character, they managed to get and wrong, and then even this one here. So the wrong, if you just look at the bottom half of it, you see there's a line missing, and that is one of absolutely the most common glyphs or symbols within Chinese. As a separate word, that means tree. It's the tree radical. Look, what makes it tragic, what makes it laughable, is that, these people are reaching out for something meaningful. They want something profoundly meaningful written on their skin to be with them, to carry with them on their skin until the day they die. I understand the desire, the yearning in their hearts for something profound and philosophical when they walk into the tattoo shop. And what do they get? These people are putting a lot of money on the table, and they're not even getting the Chinese equivalent of a quotation from Shakespeare. They are getting complete nonsense, and they become walking billboards for an old saying from Socrates: the unexamined life is not worth living. Guys, there's a link below this channel. Hit me up.